You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Ink Dependence. I'm Mike, and today we're talking about this ink. This is Pelikan Edelstein Moonstone, which was the ink of the year in 2020, and you could, if you liked, get a sort of matching Pelikan M200 that came in this like nice sparkly material, and I haven't gotten one, although I keep telling Audrey she should get one, but it is very cool looking, and this is the matching ink. This sample was sent out to me very kindly by a viewer who goes by Philadelphia Piper, so thank you very much, Philadelphia Piper, for sending out this sample so that I could play with it because, you know, it's a cool ink and people want to see it, I'm sure. This one is an ink that I am, as I say here, kind of torn on because it's a cool ink that should be in my wheelhouse, but I'm not sure I love it. So, start off firstly, this is my usual Rhodia 80 grams per square meter paper. Flow on this one it's a little bit on the wet side, I would say, but it's also thin, which is kind of weird. Like it's a little bit watery. As you can see in here, perhaps not too much, but it's just it's kind of thin for some reason. This is, of course, the pen I've been using it in, which is the TWSBI, what is it, Cement, I believe this one's called, which is a really cool gray pen. It has a very good nib in here. What did I get in this one? It's a medium, just a solid medium nib. No problems there, nothing weird going on there. I haven't had any problems with flow. That's been great, and I've had it in this pen for quite a while. TWSBI Ecos. I should actually write down here, medium nib. There you go. TWSBI Ecos, man, you can leave ink in these things for a long time, and they don't dry out. These have one of the best cap seals on the market for my money, I think. So check those out. They're really great pens. And it's one of those inks that I'm just like, I don't know, man. It has some very mild spread on the copy paper that I use, which is this Pelikan, which is the Staples 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper. This is pretty bad paper, of course, but you can see some spread and some feathering. And I think a lot of this is just because this ink is very thin, and so it tends to spread out before it can really soak through or anything like that. I don't have much to speak of here with bleeding. Not a whole lot of bleeding, but definitely get some spread, which some people don't care about spread at all. It actually really kind of annoys me. I don't like spread on an ink. So that's not great for this copy paper. It has been much better behaved on pretty much everything else, though. So not an ill-behaved ink, just, you know, the copy paper is not going to look its best, of course. Qualities on this one. It has some shading. As you can see down here in the regular writing sample, there is definitely some shading. You can see some dark spots. You can see some less dark spots. And it's definitely a gray. It's kind of a pencil-y gray, in fact. Moonstone is a color that, man, depending on what brand you're getting Moonstones from, is going to be a very different color. Some of them are dark grays, some of them are light grays. This one tends to be fairly pale, and that really is the only problem I have with it, is that it's just a little bit pale. It goes down a little bit light, and then it kind of darkens slightly over time, which I think is cool. And so the end result looks pretty readable, but there's something this is the thing maybe just about me, but I really like watching ink go down on the page. It's probably why I'm such an ink nerd, and probably why I got so into fountain pens, because I really like, you know, just the look of ink going down on the page. I like looking at it. I don't know. Audrey laughs at me because I'll lean in close to a page and watch the ink. But that's just, I think I find joy in. And this one goes down pretty light, and so I'm like, oh. And then later it looks fine. I'm like, oh, that looks good. What was I complaining about? Well, the original, like, oh, look at that, just isn't there for me. And that's my only problem with this ink. And I don't know. So I'm a little bit torn on it. I like it a lot. I think it's a good ink, but if you are like me and want to watch the ink like go on the page and like be all saturated and beautiful, like this may not be the ink for you. There might be another gray. Also, the Pelikan Edelstein inks are not cheap. At 50 ml bottle for $28 is not crazy, certainly by a lot of other ink price standards, but it ain't cheap either. So let's do a water test on this. Let's take a look at it on a couple of other papers, look at some chromatography, and then look at other inks that are a little bit like this one that are worth checking out. So let's get some water on the page here. I'm not expecting a whole lot of movement from this one. Pretty well covered my whole my whole area there, huh? That is all watery. Let's swirl it around. You can actually see ink moving a little bit in the water splotch. Let's mop this up before it makes too much of a mess. or I forget that it's there and just pick up the paper. There we go. Now that we've gotten the main body of that water off there, we can pat it dry. And yeah, not really anything showing up on the paper towel, which is good. And also you can still read all this. So it did come away. You can definitely see that it is lighter, but plenty of it's still on the page, I think, to call this a little bit water resistant. I'm not worried about calling it a little bit water resistant. All right, so let's look at the chromatography, which is right. Come here. Which is right here. I don't know what was going on there. It was like a slight breeze came through or something. There we go. There's a chromatography. Obviously, it started out down here, and as it came up the page, as the water pushed the dyes up the strip, you see some really interesting variation here. So this is that sort of brownish gray area down here. And you get this band of mild like violet, and then just a little bit of gray up here. And I think this is mostly what we saw come off in the water drop test there, but as you can see, lots of it stayed behind, and so a little bit of water resistance there. Okay, so we already saw it on the 20-pound recycled. We've seen it on Rhodia. Here it is in an ink journal. This is a Tomoe River ink journal, and it's right here. And I think this actually looks really nice on Tomoe River. It came off really well. Let me give it a little scribble next to the writing just to. It looks a bit different until it dries. Like it's just got a different kind of tone to it, but it will dry eventually to this gray from this brownish. Does it look brown? It looks a little bit of brown to my eye right now. Might just be the way the light's hitting it, but it does end up looking like that. So a good ink for Tomoe River, I think. Better than some other papers, and actually I think better than Rhodia for sure. And then here it is on my currently inked Inky Fingers. This is the one that is full. I filled in Inky Fingers. Of course, I inked this up originally back in August of this last year, so quite a while ago. But like I said, TWSBI Ecos, man, they stay sealed. All right, so here it is, and I think it looks pretty okay on this wheat straw as well. The Rhodia might be the one that looks the worst on, oddly. I don't know why, but it looks a lot better here, and it looks better on the Tomoe River. So let's look at some inks that are pretty close to it. This is the Colodex card for Pelikan Moonstone. Just scoot out a bit. Here is Ackerman number 29, Hofweiser Grease. I actually I'm not confident in that word at all, but I think this has a lot of things in common with Pelikan Moonstone. Certainly has the same kind of timber. And here on the Colodex card, for whatever reason, it's looking fairly dark. I think maybe I just put down a lot more ink in one spot. This is up here is written with the, there we go, that's the TWSBI nib, and it comes off pretty well on here. A little bit on the light side, I think, but definitely readable. As I said, pretty good ink, just maybe, I don't know, still on the fence. All right, and then here is Mont Blanc Oyster Gray, which I think is a little bit lighter on the Colodex card, and probably about the same as it would be from the nib. I think this is going to be fairly close. And then an ink that I really like a lot, which is Kala Nostalgia Gemstone Collection Sillimanite, which is lighter gray in the sort of swatch here, but up here when you compare the writing and such, it's a little bit darker. And I think I like the Kala Gemstone one a little bit better than the Moonstone. So Sillimanite I think is a little bit better. This is of course written with that ink. There it is in a Yovo extra fine, where it comes off quite a bit darker. So maybe it's just darker and I just want a darker ink. I don't know, man. I don't know. Grays are tough. Okay, so there you go. This has been Pelikan Edelstein Moonstone. Check that out at your favorite Pelikan Moonstone, Pelikan Edelstein dealer. I'm looking at it right now on Anderson Pens, where it is $28 a bottle. And of course, you can also get samples and that sort of thing there. Thanks again to Patrick, the Philadelphia Piper, for sending this out for review. And I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out. A couple more of those? Sure. Bye, y'all. Oh, like, comment, subscribe, give me that thumbs up, hit that bell, YouTube stuff.